OJA MASOPHY recalled her meeting with our Tare about 20 years ago when she was still unmarried. He narrated the story about the goddess Phila Ava of Kashong, saying, "We were on our way to Ukhrul from Imphal on foot, as there was no buses plying during that time. When we reached Finch Corner, we met an old friend, our Shishak from Shangshak. Our Shishak asked us to stay that night in his village, as we had been walking the whole day since 3 in the morning. The two friends who were with me decided to join our Shishak, but I had to reach Ukhrul that day, so I declined the offer and proceeded towards Ukhrul alone. After a few minutes' walk from Finch Corner, I met a very beautiful girl with long, beautiful locks. She was walking ahead of me. When she saw me, she waited for me, and we struck a conversation as we walked on. The sun was hot, and so we decided to bathe at Nungshangkong, which is about 4 kilometers away from Finch Corner. I was soon done with my deep bath. She was taking a long time. As I stood waiting, she called out from the river and asked me to continue my journey. I agreed and started to go ahead. After a few paces, I turned back to see if she was still there. To my utter surprise, I saw her walking on water to cross the river. I watched her without blinking my eyes, and soon she disappeared. It dawned on me that she could be none other than the goddess of Kashong, for none could be as beautiful as she. OJA MASOPHY simply laughed it off as a joke. During a posting in Sirarakong, a neighboring village in 1991, OJA MASOPHY had heard similar stories about this mysterious lady of Kashong. Once, two local youths, Angam and Shangmi, lived in the jungle for timber work for a week. On the second day, Angam was called home for some urgent work. Angam promised to come back the next day and left with his cousin, who came to call him. To prepare his dinner, Shangmi took a bucket and pot and went to the small stream that ran between the two mountains. When he sat down to eat, he heard somebody approaching him. He looked up and saw a goddess-like figure standing in front of him. With a trembling voice, he asked, "Who are you and why are you here at this time?" The woman said, "Oh, I was on my way home, but while taking a shortcut, I got lost. I saw the fire from a distance, so I thought it would be safer here than to go home. I am so hungry. Can you share your food with me and allow me to spend the night here? I'll be leaving early morning tomorrow." Her expression and sincerity of confession left no doubt for Shangmi to believe her. He fumbled and told her to sit down and eat. They ate the food together and chatted till midnight. In few hours, Shangmi seems to have hopelessly fallen in love with the woman. When it was about midnight, the woman said, "It's time to sleep." Shangmi hurried and made her bed from Angam's small mattress and made his own bed a little away from it. It was in the open air under the trees. They wished each other good night, and Angam then said a prayer. When he opened his eyes after the prayer, he found the woman missing. At first, he thought she might have gone to relieve herself, but when she did not return even after 10 minutes, he got worried but did not know what to do. He looked for her, but in vain. He wanted to call out her name, but suddenly he realized that he did not know her name. So he called out Phila Ava, meaning beautiful one, but got no response. He could only hear his echo in the still night. Shangmi lay awake for a long time. He wondered who she really was. Was she real? Was I saying things? Am I dreaming? With these thoughts and questions, he fell asleep. In his dream, he heard her say, Who told you that my name is Philava? Did you really want me to stay for the night with you? Shangmi looked at her flabbergasted and said, I wanted to know your name and your village so that I can come looking for you someday. The woman assured him that she would pass his way again and come back for him. Itao, are you still sleeping? Angam's voice woke Shangmi up, but he did not respond. He remained in bed for a long time, thinking about the vivid dream of the lady and the assurance given by her to come back for him. He took out a bidi from under his pillow and started to smoke. He tried to recollect what he called her the previous night while looking for her. He decided to go home and inquire in the neighboring villages with that name. Shangmi was such a handsome, jolly young man that everyone enjoyed his company. Women, young and old, talked about his good looks. Angam was worried and thought his friend was not well. He came and sat next to him and asked, Itao, what happened? Are not you feeling well? Still, there was no response from Shangmi. Angam could not make his best friend talk to him, so he decided to take him home. After walking for about an hour, Shangmi sat down, looked at his friend Angam and said, She said she would come back for me. What do you mean? Asked Angam. This time, Shangmi excitedly said, Last night she came when you were away. Angam was quite worried and asked, Who are you talking about? Shangmi said, Itao, you may find it difficult to believe me, but it's true. I shared my food with her and she came back in my dream and assured me that she would come back for me. I don't know her name, but in my dream she told me her name was Philava. I'm going to look for her till I find her. Angam thought his friend had gone crazy and was not sure how to react. Angam dropped him home and told him to take a good rest. He came back in the evening to check on his friend. He found him lying on his bed yearning for Philava. Shangmi requested Angam to visit Tainem and other neighboring villages the next day to inquire about his Philava. This time, Angam suspected the mysterious lady to be the goddess of Kashong. He had heard of this goddess from many people before, but never thought those hearsays to be true. This time, he was afraid that his friend could be the next victim of the goddess. Nobody knows whether she came back for Shangmi or not, because since the incident, he just stopped talking to anybody anymore. Most nights, he would go to the same spot where she had visited him. The villagers would look for him, and he would be there waiting for her to come back for him. Many people came to pray for him, but his condition did not improve. One day, after almost a year in the month of December, Shangmi was found missing. After a brief search, the villagers found him lying dead with no clothes on at the same spot where Angam and he had gone for timber work. They found a freshly plucked lily near his head. Had she come back for him? Nobody knew the answer, for it could also be the cold winter that claimed his life. But the question remains, who brought the lily in that season of the year? Mysterious are the ways of the gods.